Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to cover how to read environmental section effectively for UPSC Prelims 2026 examination. So in this particular video, we'll be initially discussing what are the must-read NCERTs you need to essentially cover for environmental section. Here, most of the students are not reading the NCERT segments. Due to that, they are unable to answer 2 to 3 questions which are picked directly from the NCERT students. So kindly watch this video. We will be giving the list of chapters you need to read, especially from the science NCERT. Along with that, we will also discuss what are the must-read textbooks you need to necessarily refer for environmental section. And with respect to UPSC, that is the preliminary question analysis, we'll be discussing the 2025 prelims environmental segment question. And we'll also look at the pattern of environmental question in the last 10 years in the UPSC prelims examination. And we will also look at what are the trend change which is happening, especially with respect to environmental segment, and what strategy you can adopt for the coming year, that is 2026 preliminary examination. So first, let's look at the must-read NCERTs we need to cover, especially for environmental section students. Here, NCERT has came out with the new publication of NCERT. All these NCERTs, 6th standard, 7th standard, 8th standard NCERTs has been named as Curiosity instead of Science NCERT students. So kindly download this latest NCERT from the NCERT website itself, that is the ncert.nic.in. This is the official NCERT website where you can download all this new edition of NCERTs where questions can be asked for this UPSC Prelims 2026 examination. Okay, let's go into the 6th standard Curiosity NCERT, that is a science NCERT only. So in this particular NCERT, you need to cover chapter number 2, Diversity in Living Environment, chapter number 10, Living Creatures, Exploring Their Characteristics, and chapter number 11, National, that is the Nature's Treasure. And coming to the 7th standard Curiosity NCERT, you need to cover only the chapter number 10, which is relevant for environmental section. And coming to the 8th standard Curiosity NCERT, here you need to cover chapter number 12, How Nature Works in Harmony, and chapter number 13, Our Home, Earth, a Unique Life-Sustaining Planet. Then you can skip the 9th standard Science NCERT and moving to the 10th standard Science NCERT. Here, in this particular NCERT, you need to selectively read chapter number 5 students. So only look at the environmental segment in the life process and read only that. And then you can move on to the chapter number 13, Our Environment. These two chapters are must read in the 10th standard Science NCERT. And 11th standard NCERT, you can skip it. And moving to the 12th standard NCERT students, here you need to read only the biology NCERT. With respect to biology NCERT, you can cover the unit 10, that is the ecology chapter, chapter number 11, chapter 12, chapter 13. All these three chapters are very important because these have been mentioned directly in your preliminary syllabus, biodiversity and conservation, where a lot of questions has been asked in the past also. So kindly try to read this particular book and try to make notes out of these students. Let's now move to the textbook. So with respect to environmental segment, most of the students will be reading Shankar IAS environmental book only. This book is going to be very important, but some students are also getting confused. Should I read a PMF IAS environment book? So you can choose either one between these two students. Only problem with PMF IAS is it is bit like encyclopedia of information. So what I will be advising is, so for those students who are reading environmental segment, you can go to Shankar IAS environmental book, but what you need to pay most of the attention is that you need to give maximum importance to the chapter on pollution, number 1, and then you can read the biodiversity chapter in a thorough manner, and then you can try to make notes out of the animal species which has been listed in the, especially in a tabular column format or in a descriptive format in this Shankar IAS book. That is going to be important. While reading the animal species, give maximum importance to the characteristics of animal species. So their geographical location, where it is found, and then what is the IUCN status and what are the threats which has been evolving for that animal species. So these are the areas you can focus. Additionally, you can give importance to the, especially the climatical protocols or environmental policies, I will be saying. Try to give maximum attention to these areas. Policies are agreements. So these 4 areas, if you could cover in a better manner and try to make notes from this particular Shankar IAS book, you need to only do the value addition from current affairs segment, especially the animal species in news column, and need to update yourselves, especially with respect to the climatological agreements which are coming in newspapers, in the newspaper especially. So these are the value addition you need to do, especially after reading this Shankar IAS environmental book, students. Let's now move into the UPSC Prelims 2025 Environmental Question Analysis. So this particular question, activated carbon, it is used to remove pollutants. As I said already, this pollution is going to be very important chapter for UPSC preliminary examination. Either they will be asking you directly the list of pollutants which are harming the environment, or what are the technology which have been adopted or which have evolved recently to remove the pollutants. That is where most of the questions has been asked in the preliminary examination in the past, and that trend is repeated in UPSC Prelims 2025 as well. Let's move to the next question. In this particular question, they are asked about the recent Copenhagen summit. As I said already, the climate agreements are going to be very important, especially the recent UNFCCC meetings, usually which will be happening in the month of November or December every year, students. In this Copenhagen, there is a conference of parties meeting we will be saying. In this conference of meeting, what are the outcomes which are emerging from it, and where that meeting is happening, try to make a notes out of it, where current affairs related questions can be asked, especially from this particular topic. And moving to the next question. So in this particular question, again, they are focused on the climatological agreement. As I keep on saying, this climatological agreement are very important topic, especially for preliminary environmental section. In this particular question, they are asking direct air capture from which of the statements. As I said, these pollution related things are carbon related things. So what are the carbon saving process or carbon sequestration process? All these are very important topic where questions can be surely expected in preliminary examination. And moving to the next topic, this particular question is picked from animal species characteristics. As I said already, you need to do two works with respect to animal species. One, you need to study the conventional area, that is trying to collect what are the characteristics and IUCN status, geographical distribution, and threats emerging for the animal. Second, you need to update yourself also with the news, especially the current affairs, any updates which has been happening with respect to the animal species. So from these two segments, surely question will be asked every year, students. And moving to the next question, carbon dioxide emissions in India. As I said already, this carbon dioxide emissions or sequestration process is also an important topic where questions has been repeatedly asked in preliminary examination. This particular question, they are asking us to match the pairs, especially cassava, is it a woody shrub, ginger, is it a herb? So this particular question is picked from your basic science NCERTs, which I have already listed to you, students. So try to read most of the chapters which I have listed you. If you could read those chapters, you can easily answer, because those are given in 6th standard, 7th standard, 8th standard book. What is the meaning of herb, shrub, climber? So just they are asking the match the following. If you could read that, you can directly answer this particular question. And moving to the next question, here they are asking us rainforests produce more oxygen, phytoplankton, and well oxygenated surface water. Especially they are asking related to oxygen related things. So this is also a question which has been basically picked from your basic NCERTs only, this kind of facts. So what I will be advising is, after reading the chapters, whatever I have listed to you, try to make notes out of it and try to remember it effectively, students, so that you can answer these kind of questions very easily. Now moving to the 9th question, artificial way of causing rainfall. This is purely from current affairs segment, which has been repeatedly coming in this year newspaper as well. But what is most important also, while reading Shankarayya's environment book also, this particular fact is given, and even in NCERT also this fact is available, science NCERTs. So what is my sincere suggestion is, whatever source you are reading, please stay honest to that sources and try to revise it in an effective manner, students. Let's move to the next question. Nature restoration law. This is related to the environmental policy or law, which has been a repeated theme in UPSC prelims in environmental segment. So what is the environmental trend analysis questions in prelims in the last 10 years means, if you look at it in 2025, this year only 10 questions has been asked. Last year students 11 questions. And in 2023, 14 questions has been asked. And if you look at it overall in the last 10 years in the examination, the minimum number of questions is only 10 only, which has been asked this year in 2025. One more year is in 2018, they asked 10 questions. Otherwise, if you look at the maximum number of the question, in 2019, they went for 19 questions maximum. So what you can expect for this coming year 2026 students, you can minimum expect 10 questions and you can maximum expect up to 15 questions on an average. And that too, we have been telling what are the important repeated themes also. You need to give maximum attention to climatic change, especially in prelims 2025, that has been asked, especially with respect to the agreements, international bodies, and conservation efforts, and what topic you can focus for this coming year, and what is the best strategy I would be saying is give maximum attention to pollution chapter. This is where most of the questions has been asked. After reading the pollution chapter, then move on to the climatic change chapter. These two are playing a very crucial role in preliminary examination. Then you can focus to conservation effort. With respect to conservation effects, you try to read all the Ramsar sites, Montreux protocol. So all those things you can try to read, and even what are the various animal species, what conservation efforts have been taken, Project Tiger, Project Elephant, all those things also can be correlated and studied in this topic. And biodiversity chapter, try to read the basics we given in Shankar IAS book in a better manner. If you could read these 4 chapters, then only you can move on to environmental legislation. And while reading the environmental legislation only, try to cover the agreements also. Especially what I said is the various international agreements related to UNFCCC, where questions can be surely asked from current affairs as well. And while reading the animal species in new students, as I said already, try to cover in an organized manner, because you need to read both the conventional as well as the current affairs thing. But UPSC in the recent times, they are majorly focusing on the characteristics of animal species. So you need to give maximum attention to the conventional animal species as well as the species which are coming in newspaper. Both these you need to have a good notes and try to revise it. If you could read all these topics effectively, you can easily crack the 10 to 15 questions which can be expected for the coming year in preliminary examination, students. In addition to that, if you have any problem or challenges in covering the environmental section, please try to comment on that. We will try to give feedback on that, students. Thank you.